in the country, and it's cheap to get, and the environmentalists are blocking our ability to go after that.
How can that be stopped? You know, say, well, I mean, every administration faces this environmental, because I know when Bush was in office, and of course he's a part of all this, I understand that, but when he was in office, he tried to drill in a certain place, and it was stopped by the environmentalist.
You know, trying to drill in Anwar in Alaska, the environmentalists painted this picture that it is, you know, this wonderful, pristine park that, you know, we would just destroy it with all these oil derricks. The fact of the matter is it's a frozen tundra, and where they wanted to drill oil was the worst area of it, and it would have no impact on the environment whatsoever, but they painted this picture and got it stopped. How do we stop it? It is massive, because these guys have been doing this for well over 20 years, moving in this direction. And I mean, again, I was meeting with elected officials yesterday, clear up to the governor of Virginia, and they are so entrenched in this idea. And the people who promote it are just saying, we're just trying to find a better way, we're trying to make a better life for the people, and again, the whole energy cost, we're trying to protect them. But they are ignoring the fact that they are the ones creating those high energy costs. Alternative energy, for example, this is the big mantra. There are billions and billions of your tax dollars going in to pay for alternative energy research and development. This is the wind power, this is the solar power, ethanol, all these sorts of things. Well, the truth of the matter is, wind and solar power provide about 1% of our energy needs. It literally doesn't work. And there would be no green industry in this world, in this country, if it weren't for all the government money pouring into it.
Well, this is the government that's doing this. And I want to add this, it's not just Obama. This goes back to Bill Clinton. Every president, both Bushes, they were all involved in this.
Oh, absolutely.
And go ahead.
You have partnerships between corporations, like General Electric is one of the worst, and British Petroleum is one of the worst. These kinds of corporations are working hand in hand with the government in partnership to promote this. This is why you hear all these ads every night about go green, look for the green alternative, look at this. This is all part of these partnerships. It's propaganda to get you to accept this process. And if you accept this process, then what it means is you're going to live in these little sustainable communities where you have no private property, where you are a complete pawn in their game, and your choices for consumer goods, for where you want to go, where you want to live, what you want to do for your living. Population control is a major part of this. One of the tenets of Agenda 21 is called smart growth. Smart growth, and maybe you've heard this in your community. We want a smart growth community. What it means is that they have drawn a line around your community, and there is no development outside of that line. That is, they call that urban sprawl with great disdain, and there are many programs to get you to stop building your home out in these areas and herd you into these communities. Well, once they've done that, what happens? Two things. One, because you now have an artificial shortage of land, the cost of anything skyrockets. And, you know, there's shortage of homes and so forth. So if there's a shortage of homes and a shortage of land, then you've got to control the population. You can't have the population growing. There's nowhere for them to go because they've artificially put this wall around you and said this is where you have to be. So now you get into population control. What does that mean? You know, think about it. You know, China has population control. If you have more than one child, then the woman of the family is sterilized. There are forced abortions. All these kind of things. That's what happens where I see you have population control. So what can that mean for America?
So we're talking China.
I'm talking China because they're doing it at the moment.
That's right.
You know, we're putting these programs together in America where you have these artificially controlled area, you know, towns, and you've got to control the population there to make sure that it all functions properly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me read something here in one of your articles, Tom, that you have. You well, actually, it's Sound the Alarm Against Sustainable Development, Part 1. And you make these statements. This was in an interview, it's the definition of a sustainable community. It said sustainable communities encourage people to work together to create healthy communities where natural resources and historic resources are preserved, jobs are available, sprawl is contained, neighborhoods are secure, education is lifelong, transportation and health care are accessible, and all citizens have opportunities to improve the quality of their lives. Now, I've been to China, I've been to Russia, and I've seen how those people live in those countries, and I know that that's what this is all about. They have absolutely no opportunity to improve their lives, and I'm reading from an interview, and I think that was the question that was asked you. So are we talking about that these communities are really going to provide all of that for the people, and they're just going to have this wonderful, blissful life?
Well, that definition is their definition.
That's what I know.
And that's what they say this is.
Right.
And, sprawl is contained. Again, urban sprawl. This horrible thing where people are escaping the cities, where there are drugs, where there's crime, where there's murder. People want to get out of there, and they want to have a life for their family, and so they buy a home or build a home out in an area where they've got a yard, they have a swing set. Families can. People, when they buy that home and they walk in that home for the very first time, that's their dream home. They're excited about that. Now they've got a chance to grow their family the way they want to. These people who are promoting this look at that as an evil.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I can't get over. Yeah.
And so they want them to. This is a system of control. To me, this is not about the planet. This is not about a development. This is about government being able to control the citizens.
That is exactly correct, and that is why we are so alarmed and why we were trying to stop this. They are using the environment as an excuse. The logo for sustainable development that they use over and over again, you will find this logo in your local community plans. You will find it in your state plans, state governments, the federal government. It is 3 connecting circles that are each marked. They're interconnecting. It's kind of like the Olympic symbol, only this is 3 circles instead. I think that's 5. But this one, they interconnect, and if you understand what this logo is, you will understand sustainable development. They are each marked. One circle is marked ecological integrity. That's the environment excuse. One is marked ecological integrity, it says. The other one is economic prosperity. And the third one is social equity. Now, those 3 things equate to every aspect of your life. In particular, everybody talks about, everybody thinks sustainable development is about the environment, is about conservation, just trying to make a better life for us. Mm-hmm. If you miss the social equity plank of this, if you don't understand that, you do not understand this issue. Social equity, another term for that is social justice. Karl Marx is the man who coined the phrase social justice. This term now is popping up everywhere in our society. What it means, if you read sustainable literature, it really is about redistribution of the wealth. And sustainable development, that is what it is really about. Redistribution of the wealth on a local level, a state level, a federal level, and an international level. You see all of these programs. People are upset about watching American industry go overseas. That is sustainable development. That is part of the redistribution of our wealth to these other countries. I started out by saying that these other people in the world, these other leaders, these people who are behind the United Nations, other nations, are afraid of the United States. What they decided to do was create a plan to redistribute American wealth and power around the world. And American leaders, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George Bush the First, Barack Obama, probably goes back to Ronald Reagan, goes back before that, have allowed America to be sucked in to this excuse, all in the idea of a global economy. And what's happening is Americans are losing their jobs, Americans are losing their industry, America is becoming dependent on the rest of the world, and that is this redistribution of wealth that I'm talking about. And
it's also, we're going to have to pause for a quick break, Tom, but it's also what has to do with our borders being unattended. See, when it ties all of this together, they want to leave the borders open so that we'll have an overflow of refugees that America has got to take care of. And we're going to be right back with you on the other side of the break.
We're glad you can join us today for Francis and Friends. We'll be right back on the Sun Life Broadcasting Network.
Back with Tom DeWeese, who is he has a book out entitled Now Tell Me I Was Wrong. And I want to encourage all of our listeners to purchase this book. Tom, if people want to purchase your book, recommend to them how to do it.
Well, it's available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. You can go there. It's also available in the electronic version there, or you can get it directly from us at DeWeeseReport.com. You can buy it there.
And Tom is also the president of the American Policy Center, and he's also the editor of the monthly newsletter, the DeWeese Report. And I encourage all of you to go to the internet and make yourself available, make his reports available to you as well as his many articles. You're going to get an education just in Tom DeWeese's articles that he sends out monthly, and sometimes it's twice a month. I know that you write for News with Views. Are there other web sites like that your article goes to?
Yeah, and in fact, I don't even know all of them that it goes to.
Okay.
But Canada Free Press is another one that publishes our material regularly.
Okay.
So.
Well, anyway, all you have to do, if you don't understand what we're saying, just go type in the name Tom DeWeese, and it'll lead you to all of the websites. And you need to read his articles that he does every month. Let me read this. You're talking about here in your article concerning Sound the Alarm Against Sustainable Development, and you say the sustainablest system is based on the principle that individuals must give up selfish wants for the needs of the common good or the community. And then you ask the question, how does this differ from communism? Then you say capital ownership is systematically concentrated and made directly available to every person. And they say this is social justice. That means that there will be no single owner of property or business. All will be controlled by society for the common good, and society meaning the government. Those are my words now. Okay.
You're right.
But okay, this is the same policy behind the push to eliminate our nation's borders, to allow the migration of those from other nations into the United States, to share our individually created wealth and our taxpayers' paid government social programs. Say these sustainabilist, justice, and efficiency go hand in hand, and borders are unjust. And I want the people to see that this is a well thought out program to brainwash the American citizens. We all don't understand why that the nation of America will not control its borders. When you read more about this, learn more about it, you'll see why it's a concentrated plan by government officials not to close our borders or not to regulate our borders. Then you also say that under the sustainablest system, private property is an evil that is used simply to create wealth for a few. So too is business ownerships. So now we're not supposed to own any property. We're not supposed to have any